Hey everybody, it's Safi and Marco Dish Out on Movies, the only movie review show on YouTube to review movies in terms of food. And it's just Marco here once again. I'm here to talk about another video game. I, I am here to talk about Mafia Definitive Edition. And for starters, I'll give a little history on my view on the Mafia series, since it'll kind of help with the looking at the context of this game and what I think in comparing it to the other ones. I never played them. I was never really interested, to be honest. I would only get like a game or two a year back in the older days, and so I would pick very, very strictly, like, the most wanted games that I wanted, like just the tip top of the ones that I wanted. I had to get those and just sacrifice my interest for the other games. And now it's cool because the definitive edition, they put it on PlayStation Now. And so that's how I actually played it. It popped up there and I was like, oh hell yeah, I'm gonna play that. So first off, I got Mafia 3, which used to be on PlayStation Now, or I think it might still be as a downloadable game. And PlayStation Now, the thing about that app is that in theory, it's a fantastic app. It is like probably one of the greatest things about the PS4, because one of my biggest issues with the PS3 was how little games from the PS2 and the PS1 they had. And I want to play those older games, even with all the problems that they have. I want to play them and see what they're like, and see what, like, I don't know, that one game is like, the Warriors game, that's on the PlayStation Store. I'd like to play games like that, but I can't because they don't even make them available. But the thing is with the PlayStation Now is that you cannot use like any Wi-Fi while you're playing the games. And even then, it's really inconsistent. So I always look for the games that you can just download, because with those games, you're not going to have the Wi-Fi issues that you have with the other ones. And when I played Mafia 3, I thought, this is kind of weird. I tried to get into the story, and man, those cutscenes were so long, I could not focus. I did not care about these stupid cutscenes, the stupid story. Like, it was so over the top. It felt like a lot of woke agendas in it, even though it's accurate for the time period. It felt like a really strange. It didn't feel like a Mafia type of game at all, because even though I've never played a Mafia game before, remember the Godfather game? That's probably one of my favorite PS2 games of all time, and I really wish that they would bring that game back, because it's such a fantastic game, except for that one mission where you have to drive the Don to the hospital. That mission really got me going when I was younger. I could not finish that one. It really pissed me off. But that game, wow, what a fantastic Mafia type of game. Especially since it's based on the movie and you play through the events of the movie. What a fun game. But then with Mafia 3, I had a lot of fun with it overall in terms of the action. It was a very action-packed game, and then you add to that the DLCs, which also were pretty action-packed. I enjoyed the game a lot. In fact, I think I put it in my top 10 games of the decade. And looking back on it now, I apologize vehemently for even thinking about putting that game in the top 10. and it's because I did not play the first two, and so I didn't really understand how bad it really was. But when you play the first two games, wow. I am so glad I am not reviewing the third one right now, because it is one of the, oh my god, it is terrible, it is garbage, and it is completely, to me, unrelated to the series. It's an agenda game. That's what it is. It's an agenda game. And then after that, I played the second one. And I didn't finish the second one because it's not a downloadable game on PlayStation Now. And I just really don't like having to try to play it, and then you're playing it, and then it cuts out. It won't let you play anymore because you don't have enough broadband or whatever the fuck. So I've never finished it. But I will say that it was kind of fun, I guess. It felt like it was copying beats from The Godfather for sure, and it felt like a lot of copycatting type of stuff was just the overall game to me. Like, I don't really have any other impression. I guess it's fun, just like the third one. You know, it's fun. And then finally, I played the definitive edition. I have not played the original first one, but I did play this one, and now this is where we get to the actual review. I'll say this, I had a ton of fun with this game once again, but I'll also say that it still has flaws. Even though it has flaws, I would say this is the best Mafia game, the definitive edition of Part 1, which is pretty hard to believe, because you'd think that they would have taken the time to make the second one better with the remake, and then the third one to just wipe that from history and make a new game that doesn't have any agendas in it. But anyways, the story of the first game is kind of mixed for me. I thought that it had a lot of good story points. I really liked the idea of this taxi driver who, you know, at the start of the game, he's confessing to this detective, and we're going to learn his whole history and how he became a big time gangster and how he got to this point where he's talking to a detective. I really like that idea, and I liked the opening and everything. I liked how he's a taxi driver, and you know, the first couple of missions, you're just playing as like a guy. You're just playing as like it's just this random guy. And I actually thought that that was like one of the best parts of the game, because it's cool to have that contrast where you're one way and then you join them and you're another way. And as the story goes on, there's a lot of great characters. I'll say this too. These are probably some of the best video game characters in history. Tommy, Paulie, Sam, Sorelli. Those are some of the top characters, which is hard to believe. Actually, it's not hard to believe, because it feels like in the older games they would pay more attention to the story and less attention, because they had to compensate for the poor gameplay. So they would focus more on the stories to make up for that poor gameplay. I felt like the same. I felt actually like this is good because it had a balance. Unfortunately, there were some flaws with the story. First off, it's sad because they wasted a lot of characters. There were a lot of characters who, to me, they just felt like red herrings. Like, you think they're going to be a big part of the game story by the end, and then at the end, they're just kind of like, eh. Like, he has this love interest, Sarah. She's got one mission with him where he has to beat up some bad guys, and then that leads to some other stuff. But she gets like one little mission, and then she's just generic girlfriend character in cutscenes. And then you have the retarded mechanic. You'd think that he would play some huge role in the finale. And well, actually he kind of does, because when he rats out on them, you feel kind of bad that he gave up the mechanic, since the mechanic is so retarded that he can't do anything else. So I really would have liked to have seen him be involved with the finale. And then the detective himself, this Irish detective. Why did they keep talking about him being Irish? I have no idea. But his character is completely useless. He has nothing to do in the story besides sit around and drink coffee and smoke. And he was a complete waste. And then who else? The Dons. Well, I guess the main Don, he was pretty good actually. He did do a lot, kinda. But the other Don, Morello, he was like, he was basically a side character, even though at a certain point in the game he's the direct villain to this family. And so, I didn't like that, the way that he was so insignificant. I mean, he got fucked up by the time they got to him in the game. And I just felt in general like the game rushed through a lot. The game was rushed. There were a lot of story points and characters that were underdeveloped. And I really wish that, since this was a remake, that they would have tried to fix that or do something with that. That was a big issue for me. Although I really loved the ending, for the most part. I thought it was a little disappointing how Tommy got killed. And another thing too is I predicted everything that would happen, basically. Like, I knew that he would end up with that girl, and the girl would be the reason he leaves the mob. Because he talks about her at the beginning too. I knew that his best friend was going to get killed. I knew that he's probably going to get killed. So it really wasn't that shocking, but I really loved the shocking thing with Sam. That was really, really good. That whole, and I'll talk about that too. That last mission where he has to fight in the art gallery, I'll say that's probably one of the greatest final battles of all time in a video game. It was so fun and so action-packed and cool. It felt like a scene that could have been straight out of a gangster movie. Like an iconic gangster movie. That final battle in the art gallery. There were some frustrating moments, though, in terms of gameplay. I definitely felt like the damage that you take is kind of extreme. There's a lot of moments where you jump out of cover to run to another part of cover, another cover area, and the taking cover is an issue with the way that, like, I want to take cover, and then I'll press X, and then it doesn't take cover, and it's like, what the hell? I'm pressing X, take cover, and I get killed, and I gotta start all over again. And then there's parts where I jump out of cover to go to another cover, and I get shot instantly and killed instantly. That happened especially in the final battle. There's this moment where you go onto this circle balcony area, and Sam is shooting straight ahead of you. And I'm not kidding. There were multiple moments where I would run out and get shot immediately. I'd be dead with one shot, 1 second. And so it's like, okay, I'm playing again, and then boom, shot. But then other times, I wouldn't. So it's really confusing to me, like the inconsistencies with the damage that you take. I really didn't like that. You can either get like really overwhelmed by enemies and get shot and killed easily, or you don't. I really didn't feel like it was consistent though. It should have been a lot better. So that was weak for me. Another thing was the race car mission, and I know that's a mission everyone talks about, I guess, because it's so damn difficult, frustrating, bullshit. This should be a really fun side mission type of thing where you're having fun and it's like you're taking a break from this Mafia story so that you can race on a racetrack. I mean, how fun is that? Well, they make it less fun because the driving in this game is so bad with the drifting and it just, oh, guys, I cannot tell you how frustrating the driving in this game is. And that is a problem. This main character was a taxi driver. They call him the driver. They call him cabbie. They call him the taxi guy. Like, he is known for his driving. But yet the driving is so bad in this game. It is unplayable practically. Especially with this racing sequence. I played the whole game on classic mode. I didn't have a single point where I thought about quitting until I played the racing sequence. And so I actually put the difficulty down for the racing sequence, and then I switched it back for the rest of the game. That's how bad the racing sequence was. There was a moment where I improved and I got to like 6th place though, and I was kind of proud of that, but it would have taken like weeks and weeks for me to finish that racing sequence. I mean, it was ridiculous. I spent days just playing that racing sequence. That's pretty bad. I mean, come on, really? So I hated that. That really pissed me off. And in general, a lot of the missions, in terms of why I say the story is rushed, is because there's few missions, but the missions themselves are overly long. The missions drag on and on and on. Every single one. You think you're done? No. You gotta drive away. You gotta escape in the car. More driving bullshit. Oh, God. And then there's, I just had PTSD, trauma flashbacks of that mission where you gotta drive the race car to the different locations. Oh, God. I spent a whole day having to do that because that's how bad the driving in this game is. So, in general, this game has good points. Oh, and another bad point is that the weapons. There's a very limited amount of weapons in this game. And that's fine because it is an old game that they just remastered. But in general, they had grenades and things, Molotovs. There's hardly ever any time in the whole game where you get to use Molotovs, and there is like one or none time in the game where you get to use a grenade. And so I felt like that was really shitty the way that, like, I went to the guy's, the weapon guy's place, and I looked around, there was no grenades. And it's like, what the hell? Like, why do we even have the grenade option? Like, why? So that didn't make sense. Anyways, and my favorite mission was, of course, the final mission because I thought it was so cool, so action-packed, and I loved how they subverted everything by making Sam the bad guy instead of the Don. Because everyone expected, like, oh, of course, the Don is going to be pissed and he's going to get mad and you're going to have to fight him. No. It's Sam. Never trust someone named Sam. Like Sam from fucking Mayberry RFD. If you know someone named Sam, Stay away. So I would rate this game, I'm going to rate it in terms of food. This game is simple. Too simple. That being said, it is an impressive remake. It's fun. It's got a lot of good action. And it definitely is a lot better than the other Mafia games. I would give this game a chicken sandwich. Usually I'd have this after a day of having a chicken dinner because you have all this leftover chicken. So what you do is you put that on bread and then you put some lettuce and then you put some mayonnaise and you have that, and that's your chicken sandwich. That's this game. It's a chicken sandwich dinner with nothing else with it. That's how simple this game is, but that's how it's pretty good. That's how pretty good it is. And anyways, I would recommend it, kinda. I mean, it's frustrating, but I played the whole game in classic mode except for I had to relent with the race car sequence because that was hell. That racing sequence, those curves, terrible. Please like this video if you liked it, comment, tell me I know everyone loves this game. Everyone thinks the definitive edition is amazing. I agree. I think it's a great game. I do think that they could do better though, and so that's why I'm criticizing them. Because I'm telling them, hey, good job, but don't make a game like Mafia 3. Make a game like this, but more. Like, take this game for Mafia 4, take this game, expand on it like times 50, and then release that, and fix the driving, and release that, and that will be fantastic. Because in Mafia 3, the driving isn't that bad. I've won plenty of races in Mafia 3 on the ultra hard levels. They're not that bad at all compared to this shit. And then please subscribe to our channel if you want to see more video game reviews in the future. Goodbye, everybody. See you soon.